We're live back on the football card quest. Welcome back to where we talk everything football cards, collecting, investing. Happy to be back on the airwaves with you guys. Made it through Hurricane Ian. Thoughts and prayers out to all the other Floridians in South Florida that got seriously affected by the storm that turned south kind of at the last minute, so to speak. But man, I'm out of the dungeon, boards off the windows. So really happy to be getting back on the quest and talking about some football and football card content with you guys. Good morning, Derek. Yo, Andrew Perry, what's good, man? Good morning. Mark Speltz, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Super happy to be back. Got a few questions in our Discord, plus over on the YouTube channel. I want to talk about this morning the differences, monetarily speaking, financial differences between an actual manufactured autograph on a card versus an aftermarket autograph, I guess you could say, like where a player just signs a card randomly at an event or at a practice, something like that. So we're going to talk about that. Also, of course, I want to talk a little bit about last night's game and some analysis from that. And want to talk about what to do when you pick a guy that you want to hone in on and invest in, specifically, talking about buying multiples and which sets, cards, that kind of thing. So I want to talk about, touch on what the best sets are, in my opinion, whenever you're looking to do that on more common cards. So, or just like something in the middle of, it's not a super rare gold numbered out of 10 kind of card, and it's not a super common card. It's not a base Donruss rated rookies. Find something in the middle, kind of a sweet spot for a lot of us. So I want to talk about that. If you got any other questions, drop them in the live chat here. Let's run the bumper. Let's get everybody going here today, man. I feel like we need it. All right. So Curtis coming out to appreciate that blaster. Brandon, welcome in. Good morning to you, Curtis. Yeah, all is well here in Tampa. Not in the entire state. A lot of people still without power. Still a lot of people without power. But how do I think Tyreek and Waddle prices will do if Tua's out for a while? It'll be interesting to see how much time Tua does miss. Obviously the big storyline was that nasty concussion that he took. And I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. So I can just share with you my observation from what I noticed on Sunday, the concussion that he clearly took on Sunday. And now the one that he took last night is that, some people get concussions easier than others. There's where you get that saying that they have a hard head, right? Tua does not have a hard head. He takes a concussion pretty easy. You can tell that from, that hit that he took last Sunday. For a lot of football players would not have given them a concussion. It was almost like he hit the ground without a helmet on. It doesn't seem like the helmet's doing anything for the back of his head. He hit the ground and clearly took a concussion last Sunday. If technically on that short of a week following the NFL concussion protocol, he would not have been playing last night. But of course, they manipulated that, rushed him back to the locker room, said it was a back spasm, ankle, whatever, that caused that. And so he was then back out there again last night, took another hit that for a lot of guys would not have given him a concussion. When you watch the slow-mo, like, yes, his back of his head did hit the ground, but not violently, right? I mean, he was whipped down. His back hit first and then his neck and his head. So definitely was some whiplash there. And apparently he left the hospital this morning in a neck brace. So I'm not sure if there's some additional cover-up work that the Dolphins are doing there. Of course, you hate to see it. And it's unfortunate, and hopefully Tua pulls through. Everything's fine. Apparently, he already has full control over all his extremities and everything like that. But I mean, this looks like this could. I mean, I hate to say this, but this could lead to a short career for Tua if he gets concussions that easily. We already knew he was kind of fragile, just with the litmus of different injuries that he's kind of taken pretty easily since being a rookie and even before that. And now he's taking concussions really easily, and these two back to back definitely were no bueno for him, man. So this is going to be an interesting market here in the foreseeable future. You saw, the one thing that you did see on display when he was playing, the clear inability to really stretch the field, right? He is totally limited on how far he can throw the ball. I mean, he tried to throw the ball as far as he could, and Tyreek still had to stop and come back to it, and wasn't able to catch it. And so that was a obvious and clear limitation into his game. We know he's very accurate, short and intermediate, and that's a lot of what Mike McDaniels has schemed them to do. That's what they've been doing, man. They've been doing it really well when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Now comes in Teddy Bridgewater, and at first, it worked out pretty good, and I think it still will work out pretty good for the Dolphins and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle because of Mike McDaniels and designing an offensive schematic to Teddy Bridgewater's strengths, allowing him to be a game manager and basically just get these guys open in the intermediate, short, and the occasional calculated deep throw. That's what they're going to continue to do, and then lean on their defense. Their defense is still really good. I had already predicted the Bengals to win last night's game. I'd already felt like the Bengals were shaking off the rust from their very rocky start, and they were going to win last night's game. Whether Tua got injured or not, I definitely felt that they were going to win that game. And, dude, talk about how cool – something cool. Those black and white Bengal stripe – or they kind of look like the black and white zebra stripe cards from Select, those case hits that Carter and I talk about, those Jamar Chase that he's always hunting for. And man, those uniforms last night looked so cool, man. So cool. So hopefully they grab some pictures from that game and they put that in some 2022 cards. But ultimately, I think Waddle and Tyreek Hill's values, they're going to take a little dip, sure, They're going to take a little dip. And overall, though, I think Tua will probably be back in a few weeks, but I wouldn't be surprised if I don't think he can take too many more of these concussions. And if he takes them that easily, this could lead to a short career for him. And if you hadn't sold already, obviously you're not putting them in auction. The last thing you want to do is put the cards in auction after a player loses like this. Like, you don't want to put Justin Herbert cards to auction right now, unless it's something incredibly rare and you just need to cash on. If you want to maximize the amount of money that you can get for a card of a guy that's on a team that just lost, is down and out, injured, then you put him in a buy now, right? You don't put it in an auction because, yeah, you're going to force the sale, but you're going to take below market value. You're going to take a hit on what you could get for that card. So Mark Spelt says the FOMO kills me. Well, yeah, I appreciate that, Wayne. The FOMO is a massive driver in the football card market. And I had this question from going back to Tua Joe Burrow. I had this question in my Instagram DMs about whether or not Tua's cards would actually eclipse the value of Joe Burrow if he won last night's game, and I do believe they would have. You could see that they were getting there very close here. Joe Burrow's Prism PSA 10 has gotten almost down to $200. You can see the same thing for Justin Herbert, whereas Jalen Hurts is now $150. Tua is now a little bit over $100. And I think that they could have eclipsed if they beat the Bengals last night and went 4-0. But obviously, things took a turn for the worse there. And, that may not happen. That may not happen this year. Obviously, Jalen Hurts now has the best chance of doing that. And I think they will continue to win. They get the Jacksonville Jaguars this Sunday in Jacksonville. I love this matchup. I think this is going to be somewhat of a come back down to earth game for the Jacksonville Jaguars after traveling to LA, beating the Chargers in their home. They were on an incredible high. You can imagine the parties that they were having after that game on the airplane. So I think that the Jags are definitely going to be coming off of that. And the Eagles are the absolute real deal at all levels of their defense, all levels of their offense. So absolutely expect him to put a beating on Jacksonville. And maybe Jacksonville hangs in there and makes it somewhat of a close game. But definitely expect the Eagles to once again win this weekend, making them the only undefeated team left in the NFL, 4-0. That's a massive statement. That's a massive statement right now from the Eagles, from Jalen Hurts. If I look at the actual market intel, Jalen Hurts now leads all football players in graded cards sold volume in the past week, with 544 graded cards sold in the past week, 410 auctions. So you can see Tua, Herbert, and even Burrow still lead him in terms of auctions, but that's gonna make sense. People are obviously going to continue to put those cards into auction. That's the way the major consignment shops sell. That's the way a lot of major dealers sell. They don't care about capitalizing necessarily on the hype. They just know it's early in the season and they want to, it's time to move some cards. So you could see this auction kind of continue to go up and up. But as prices go up, the buy it nows just aren't going to continue to climb. I personally see fewer buy it nows at good prices on eBay. And that's why you don't see as significant of buy it now purchases as you did back in August. Prices have gone up, supply has gone down, more cards are being put into auction, which allows you to get better deals in auction. So a couple takeaways there in terms of market intel. And I look at Jalen Hurts' advanced stats. I'm glad you're in here, Wayne. You were the one who doubted him for so long, man. You guys know I've been talking about Jalen Hurts. I went back and Jalen Hurts was my number one quarterback to buy in the earlier in the offseason. He's number 3 right now in the NFL in passing yards, man. Passing yards, let's go. In terms of yards per attempt, number 1. He's throwing the ball deep too, guys. 9.3 yards per attempt. Third best quarterback in the NFL right now in clean pocket completion percentage. Number 4 in deep ball completion percentage. So number 5 in QBR. Number 2 in true passer rating. Absolute dominant start to the season for Mr. Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Good morning, Roberto. What's good, man? P51, have no clue, man. You're on the wrong channel. I have no clue. I don't even know. I'm sure baseball is like getting close to that playoff time period. Oh, football with a star. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. It's all we do here, man. All football cards all day. And what's the best football players to invest in right now? Well, I'll tell you where there's a lot of volatility right now. This is one of the questions that I definitely want to talk about. And I'll get to that here in just a minute. I did want to touch on Sasquatch questions about on-card autos versus Panini authentic autographs. His local shop has a lot of these style of autos in their collection. And it makes sense. Justin Herbert's a nice guy, man. He has signed a ton of cards for people out there. And there is a lot of Justin Herbert autograph. He's not one of these guys who's stingy with his autograph like Tom Brady is notoriously, I guess, kind of stingy with his autograph from what I've heard, not signed a bunch of stuff like aftermarket like this. So you can see a lot of Justin Herbert autograph card stuff. And what I've noticed is that they go a little bit lower in value than the Panini guaranteed autographs for whatever reason. I do think if you get one like this, it is imperative that you get it authenticated from PSA or BGS. Excuse me, because you definitely want to be able to prove to someone that autograph is authentic and it wasn't you spending 10 hours in your basement and forging a Justin Herbert signature on a card. So definitely want to get it authenticated. That's going to definitely help it out. If it's not, you're going to have a really hard time selling that card. Just do yourself the service of getting it authenticated and getting it slabbed up and just for the authentication, just to get the autograph authenticated. But you can see there's quite a few of them. They don't go for as much, but they definitely add a tremendous amount of value to the card itself. Like this one was September 29th. So this was yesterday, auction from Big Boyd in a yellow Sharpie, $532 in an auction. And so if you were to actually look at what Justin Herbert's current base Prism PSA 10 is at, just over $200 here. So if we were to actually go and like look at Herbert and see what his current chart looks like, go right off the top. So in the past 30 days, you can see the most sold cards and go to Herbert here. So one of these, yeah, it's an autograph card, which was what was causing the anomaly here. So we'll get that removed from the chart because overall the current trend for his base Prism PSA 10 is $200, and you know the autograph one $532. So yeah, it definitely adds like $330 worth of value to the card. And I would say that's going to be pretty consistent across a variety of different sets. Whether it was, I think he put up an Illusions card in the chat. Yeah, there's an Illusions card in the chat that they were asking $369, which seems about fair. I mean, it had the Beckett authentication slab on it, so yeah, that seems about right, man. I mean, I think it's really cool that Justin Herbert signs all these cards for people. Definitely just want to get it slabbed up. And then Sasquatch's other question was, when buying into a guy, let's start this up from P51 Mustang Man. All right. When buying into a guy, would you buy multiples of, say, rated rookie optic / hollow, or buy into different sets to diversify more? I'm going to try and stick with rated rookie optics so it's easier for me to follow prices. Well, that's one of the major challenges and variances in football cards is following the price points of all different sets, man. You've got so many different options in football cards that it is a tremendous amount of work to really pinpoint where, you know, certain cards should be valued at and where you should buy in at and where you should sell at. So really you have to make some type of generalizations about certain sets. And that's why I do look at the optic hollow as a premium short print, not a true short print, but a more rare card than the common optic. It's also got the chrome finish. It's got the silver prism. It's one of those in-between cards that has a lot of really good things, especially that rated rookie logo and silver prism finish. And just, it's not like, there's a big difference between having a base Donruss that clearly has tens of thousands of cards, or even a base prism, which we know has probably tens of thousands as well. And then like the silver prism or the optic hollow, which we know is probably cut in half or something. And it's just got probably a print run closer to just a couple thousand, you know, or the silver prism clearly has fewer than the optic hollow, especially from 2020. And 2021 definitely seems that there's more silver prisms. And that's the other thing, man. There's so much 2021 product still making its way through eBay that it's hard to get a good gauge of how that product is going to settle out after all the dust settles, right? Right now on 2021 product, it seems like there's more silver prisms than there are optic hollows, but I think that people gravitate more towards the optic hollow from 2021 because it seems to have fewer issues in terms of the centering and the print issues. So I think that more people are gravitating towards that card. It's also got the rated rookie logo, and Prism clearly has like created this variation and created additional parallels and created what looks to be like a higher print run even from 2020. So I think that's kind of, forced people to transition a little bit as well. And so when we polled, optic and optic hollows have become a little bit more popular even than Prism. I love to get you guys' opinion in the chat, but that's a great card to just like hone in on and target that one card so you really understand where price points are at. But look at a guy like even Jalen Waddle, man. Jalen Waddle's optic hollow really hasn't gone to the level that a Justin Jefferson got to at the beginning of the season. It just never really broke out from that $20 level. And that's because of the supply and demand. There's so many cards that are still making their way out into the marketplace for 2021 rookies that it's going to be very difficult for this card to really break out in value compared to his rookie ticket auto, which we've seen clearly break out in value, getting well over $100 in most cases, even in the base variation. So, whereas his optic auto is still staying at $5 to $10. And in my opinion, these are good buys because a lot of these that are being purchased right now from eBay are being stashed in people's collection. A lot of them aren't making it back to eBay and being resold. A lot of them are being stashed in people's collections. And so I think this time next year, you're going to have a much different landscape in terms of supply and demand for a guy like Jalen Waddle or any of the 2021. You could look at Devonta Smith after last week's game, explosion game, and look at what his optic hollows are doing. And I don't think I'm seeing this. I'm seeing the same exact trend. I mean, yeah, exactly. You have some additional short print parallels that Optic has made, which are with the little emojis and stuff this year. But look at the Optic Hollow in general, still going for only $5. And this is just a clear indication of the supply just being still really high for 2021 product, which a lot of people would, in the short term, have the perception that it's always going to be this way. But if you look at what happened with 2020, it's not always going to be this way. A lot of these cards are going to get stashed in people's collections somewhere and not make it back to eBay. Of course, there's always going to be a supply. It's not like having a numbered out of 50 card or a rookie ticket auto with a print run of 150, or one of these case hit optics that have a print run of 50 or something like that, at once this initial supply leaves eBay, then the chances of it surfacing down the road are really rare, and you really have to save that search, and they pop up once in a blue moon. Optic hollows are still going to continue to be circulated. There's still going to continue to be a supply, depending on how good the player is. It kind of dictates how healthy that supply could be in the future. So you have that kind of consideration, but that's what we're seeing, man. That's exactly what we're seeing here. I still think these cards are good buys, especially when you can get them for just $5. Because when I go and look at the 2020 athletes and these guys that are really good from 2020, I see massive appreciation spikes pretty quickly once the supply dwindles, disappears, and people are looking to get in. Ultimately, there is that sweet spot of getting in and spending, $30 to $60 on a Sunday and getting some rookie cards of your favorite players to kind of stash in your collection. And that's a really sweet spot right there. Football only, WI, yes sir. Hashtag football only. Yeah, man, we're getting back in the groove here. I feel like I'm off to a little rocky start. Got to wipe the crust out of my eyes. Got to get back on the airwaves. Got to just get back to it, man. After being in a dungeon for a couple days, what's going on, Joseph? Good morning to you, sir. Good morning. Good morning. He said, "What's my thoughts on Panini's new redemption news? Does that kill the prices on selling redemption?" What is Panini's new redemption news? I have to Google it. Panini's redemption news. Probably should just get a better result on category redemption cards. Currently being processed. We'll post a list. Probably go to Twitter and get the best updates. Card Twitter is normally on it. Let's see what they got for us. Panini Redemption. New Panini terms. Here we go. New Panini terms. This is from Cards SoCal, September 27th. Appreciate you. This update here. Let's see what he's got. Okay. We've updated our terms and condition. Any expired redemption is completely void now. If your redemption does not fill in 6 months, Panini can auto send you a replacement. You have no choice but to accept this replacement. Panini uses its sole discretion to determine the value. If you do not submit a redemption request prior to the expiration date, the redemption card is void and cannot be used. Well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I would always thought if you got a redemption, and I've only ever bought one redemption. I don't like having to wait 4 to 6 months to get the actual card I'm trying to get and go through that process. Also, why I've never done my own submission to PSA. That's some serious delayed gratification, man. um, yeah, man, you should submit a redemption right away. If that's the news, it makes sense. I think the redemption market is still going to continue to sell for way less than what the actual cards do, just because there's that extra legwork and step you've got to go through to get your card, and then there's that serious delayed gratification. Them replacing a redemption after 6 months. Yeah, I mean, you could see redemptions go down in value because of this. Well, if they replace it, though, I imagine they're going to replace it with something equivalent, right? I would imagine. But that certainly is interesting. All right, so P5051 Mustang Man 23. What's the best time to buy cards off eBay, weekend or during the week? The best format to buy cards off eBay is in auctions, definitely. And I would specifically look at Mondays. And I would look at Mondays because they have such a higher amount of cards going to auction. Like if you look at the major consignment shops like DC Sports 87, Probes Team 123, Big Boyd Sports Cards, these four sharp corners, these for whatever reason, these big consignment houses are putting so many cards up for auction on Monday. They're putting tens of thousands. So what you have is just a much higher supply. And when you have a much higher supply, like we were talking a few minutes ago, you have a demand. Even if the demand is high, it cannot equal that same amount of supply. And so the prices will go undervalued. You have the best opportunity to get cards undervalued on a Monday in auction. So it's really a matter of being patient, not as patient as waiting 4 to 6 months for a redemption and then possibly getting a replacement, but being patient and actually stalking these auctions. Like you got a player in mind that you want to get into. And this goes back to Sasquatch's question. What I do is I type in their rookie year and the player's name, and that's it. And then just go to auction ending soonest. So like Mustang Man, one of my favorite buys always has been and will continue to be T. Higgins. T. Higgins did have a nice little touchdown from last night's game, but T. Higgins traditionally goes undervalued compared to Jamar Chase, just because he doesn't have that same draft capital and storyline that Jamar Chase has. And Jamar Chase tends to kind of steal that limelight. And much like Devonta Smith on the Philadelphia Eagles, he's a 1B to a 1A guy on the team, whether it's AJ Brown or Jamar Chase that we're talking about. And so like he definitely is one of my favorite guys. The Bengals clearly have it together. And, I kind of predicted them to win that game last night for a variety of reasons. But Teddy Bridgewater is a fine backup. I wouldn't go out and buy his cards or anything like that, though, because I do think Tua will make a comeback, even if it is more short lived. So, but anyways, I digress. Yeah, I mean, so if you're looking at just doing a player's name, you'll find from doing this type of research that the best auctions are going to end Monday night. Like if I'm just targeting 2021 T Higgins and looking at what or 2020 T Higgins, sorry, and looking at what auctions are ending soonest. And of course, there's always going to be stuff. So if you want to get the best deal, ultimately, like auctions ending in the morning during the week, always great. When if you find auctions that are ending on a Wednesday morning, that you're typically going to have a lot less competition. Any auction ending during the morning, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, during the week. Obviously, Monday night we talked about has a massive amount of auctions ending. Cards like this, I mean, $0. I don't know why people will put a card like this up. They're afraid of, they're trying to force a sale, but they're also afraid of taking market value for their card. Uh, but they're not going to, probably not going to get any bids because this is an absolute auto. Even if it is numbered out of 35, you're not gonna sell it like that, especially not ending on Friday at 3 p.m. That's one of those cards you just have to put. Same thing with this one. They're kind of shooting themselves in the foot with starting your auction out at $200. Just not gonna generate the interest in it when it's already that high. When I know if I'm patient, I can get into that same card in an auction ending Monday, same or similar. Like I'm not gonna pigeonhole myself into one specific set. If I'm dead set on a player like T. Higgins, for example, I'm going to just search across all the sets and look for commonalities. The commonalities I'm looking for, first and foremost, the autograph, the RC shield, the serial number, the design of the card. So in terms of brand recognition, the top 5 brands in the hobby for football cards, Flawless, all the cards are serial numbered. National Treasures, virtually all the cards are serial numbered. Those are the 2 super primo brands. Right underneath that is Immaculate. That's going to be your number 3 brand. And then I'm going to look at Contenders, rookie tickets. I'm not looking at base Contenders. There are some very rare serial numbered Contenders cards that are applicable that do have some nice value, but all in all, I'm focused on that rookie ticket auto because that card just is so liquid and it transcends generations. It's just one of those cards that is a mainstay, a staple in the football card hobby for forever, and it goes all the way back, man. So then Contenders, and then my number 5 is going to be between Prism and Optic. I'm personally going with the Optic there. I'm going to go with the Optic Auto, and that'll be like the main chase card for me out of that set is going to be the Optic. And because that autograph typically comes with a serial number from Optic, and it a lot of times comes with a silver prism finish or another colored parallel finish. So yeah, I really like those. And then for me, it would be Prism after that if I had to throw in a 6. And if you want to throw in like a 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then you were talking cards like Origins. Origins has a really nice artistic background with on-card autographs that does well. Select, obviously, the nicer Select cards, especially when you're talking 2020 Select. Definitely want to stick with, the serial numbered cards, the autograph cards, and 2021 Select has done a little bit different to where you have a little bit more flexibility because they made some of those. They made all of those silver prism short print parallels for like field level and everything are all hobby only. So the supply is a lot lower. And I'm seeing a lot of opportunity right now in the marketplace for that. So if I were to look at 2021 Select, so this is another critical strategy that I use when trying to find the best buys and the best deals is I'll correlate my hype index. So the hype index that I generate that takes into consideration the player's team score, which is a factor of their popularity, their power ranking, the Vegas odds of them making getting to the Super Bowl, and then the players' age and draft scores. So it's a combination of age and how young they are and how early they were taken in the draft, which kind of dictates that kind of fear of missing out or FOMO. And then a Hall of Fame marker score. What's their probability of making the Hall of Fame? And then looking at what they're expected to do in terms of on-field production and what they've actually done and whether or not their team is winning or losing. So you take all those factors into consideration, score for each one of those, and you get a really good idea of how hyped up a player is, how well they are moving in the market. And so when I look at, like, for example, understanding that quarterbacks are going to drive the market first and foremost, just like they do, in terms of the MVP race every year. We could look at, Lamar Jackson, the most hyped up guy right now, clearly, hands down. I don't think there'd be too much argument around that. Behind him is Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. Tua is going to go down because this yellow bar right here is that whole production over expectations plus win-loss record of the team. So after the injury yesterday and the loss, this is going to now go down, and he'll probably fall down a little bit behind Mahomes. Mahomes was higher, but, man, they lost to the Colts this past weekend, so he moved down. Trevor Lawrence has moved up, and so yeah, if you guys want access to this full, because I also have this in Excel format, so you can see all the scores and you can filter it out by any of the categories. You can get that patreon.com/football cards. So what I'll do is I'll use that to then say, okay, which one of those guys can I get into at the cheapest, and also understand where their cards have come from, where they're at now. So look at Lamar Jackson, for example. The most sold card in the past 30 days is the base Donruss rated rookie PSA 10 in terms of graded cards. In a year trend, if I go back to November, October time period last year, that was a $150 card, and we're starting to see it get back there. So I still see a little bit more room for growth in Lamar Jackson's cards. Now, of course, it's important to kind of look at the upcoming schedule and try and forecast, man. Look at the upcoming schedule, try and forecast. So when I'm looking at this weekend schedule, I'm like, okay, the Bills are at the Ravens. This is going to be a tough game, but if there's a game that can absolutely turn into a shootout, it's going to be this one. So we get Josh Allen. We know that Josh Allen's just putting that team on his back, and so it's one of those things where I would kind of want to set myself up, but Josh Allen is super expensive right now. So I'd rather buy the Lamar Jackson. And we know Lamar's got, dude, crazy athletic ability, just like Josh Allen. So you'd almost want to set yourself up with one of each, but it's hard for me to buy into Josh Allen at the current prices. He's so expensive. Look at the difference in just the base Donruss PSA 10, man. 130 for the Lamar or 330 for the Josh Allen. And we know we're going to see some fireworks in this game, man. The Bills' offense and how they're able to exploit man coverages and game plan to a specific opponent are likelier than not to find success. The Ravens' secondary is not the greatest. And the Ravens also, their offensive efficiency is likely to break through in this game as well. So defensive injuries on both sides are not going to make life any easier for each respective defense, particularly Michael Pierce in the secondary in Baltimore and the defensive tackles in secondary in Buffalo. Whereas last week, the Buffalo-Miami game had it didn't turn into quite the shootout that I think a lot of people were hoping. This game definitely has a different feel. There are fewer paths to ultimate failure here when compared to last week. It almost doesn't matter who eventually asserts control over the game flow and environment, as each team is well suited to dialing up the aggression, meaning the path to failure is a singular outcome of each offense underperforming, which is not likely. So you could hedge your bets, but ultimately what you want to do is buy into Lamar Jackson's, and then you just go on eBay and see what kind of Lamar Jackson auctions are ending today. And this is like one of those guys because he's a quarterback, and his supply is not just right now flooding the market in raw format. Like the 2021 rookies are, then you have a lot more confidence in where you're getting in at. You can rely on the charts a lot more. So you look at 2018 Lamar Jackson and just type in that, man. Just type in that and see what you get. And then this is one of those situations where I want to see auction ending soonest. His auctions may his auctions may go higher right now. Here's one that a guy started off again, shot himself in the foot, starting this off at $65 and ending at 10:01 a.m. You're better off just putting that in a buy it now format for $65 and doing it that way. Another one, 120, buy it now or auction format. So a lot of these cards I'm not going to get into. This select one, another one, 0 bids. These cards aren't going to sell because nobody's going to buy into them at that price point. Too high. No, once again, starting the auctions off way too high. Now here's one that has 1 bid, but it's numbered out of 25, autographed, has the RC shield. So you've got some of those assets there that people are looking for whenever they're going to pay that kind of money for a card. Here you have one though, 7 bids ending today at 415. Now here's a card that's definitely going to sell. This was probably one that started out at a low dollar price, unlike starting out at 450. Not a BGS 9 on a non-color matched optic, color short print parallel. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. Wishful thinking, but he's not quite at that Josh Allen level. And even if he was at that Josh Allen level, I'm not sure that would draw in the bids and get people to bid that thing up and compete on it. But this one, yes, and this one we know from looking at the chart for Lamar Jackson, this should close about $200. And that's, I think, what I've seen the trend be for Lamar Jackson's optic. Let's see. Yeah, current trend 187.54. Here's an auction that ended last night for 202.50. Here's an auction that ended Wednesday afternoon for 205. A couple buy it nows for 200. So that's the price point that we're at. And then you look at what Josh Allen, and you really kind of now are being forced to go to Josh Allen's graded cards because of the reprints and scams out there. His card's now at 585, 500 in auction on Wednesday. That's a little dip there. There's an autograph one that can be ruled out, but 570, 650. You look at the time period on when that was. Sunday, 2:46 p.m. So during the game, whenever he's racking up those 660 passing attempts against the Dolphins, ultimately to not get the deal done there at the end. But look at Saturday, the night before, 640, 701 Saturday night as well, 669 Friday afternoon, and then you get the dip. So Monday, 570, 500 on Wednesday. So you can see how, obviously this card has potential to kind of go back up, 585, but it's important to come in here and look at the overall trend from the past year. Want to see where he got up to kind of in the playoff time period there, about $500. So, man, he's super hyped up. There is already playoff success baked into these card values, whereas Lamar Jackson, I could actually go back and look at what his cards were at in 2020, like coming into the 2020 season. They were incredibly high. So if he gets back and Lamar Jackson wins this game this weekend, his cards are going to continue to go up. And he's kind of the guy that I would be placing my bets on. Coming down to the wire at the end of the season, man, this AFC North is going to be an interesting division with the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Browns all kind of being contenders out of that division. So it's exciting. AFC is stacked. It's loaded. You look at the front runners now from the AFC, and you've got the Chiefs. You still got to have them up there. Same thing with the Chargers. Like those are guys that I think the Chargers you definitely could buy into a dip on. So like ultimately, I think right now you kind of have to look past some of the standings and the records, and you have to look at the guys that look at some more of the advanced stats and look at how guys are actually playing compared to what their record is, right? So Justin Herbert is a primary example. They play fast. He's got 127 pass attempts, so he's throwing the ball a lot. He's getting pretty decent protection. He's struggling with the fractured rib cartilage, so that's been holding him back. But he's already thrown 7 passing touchdowns, so that's pretty good, man. That ranks 5th in the league. So 5th in the league behind Lamar, Josh Allen, Mahomes. So that's why Lamar is such a buy right now, because he leads the league in passing touchdowns, but he also leads the league in rushing right now as well. So that's the 2019 Lamar Jackson. That's the guy you want to buy into. But Herbert, 70% clean pocket completion percentage. So, looking at that's top 15. So overall, I mean, deep ball, 54%. That's going to be pretty much, so let's see, 54%. That's top 3 in the league. Pressured completion percentage, 51, almost 52%. So that's top 10 in the league. So you look at these metrics across the board. We're seeing a clear dip in Herbert's cards right now. That's definitely a guy you could stalk in auction if a lot of people are letting. You could see a little dip there in his base donruss, base mosaic. These are going to be kind of the first ones that dip, because they're base cards, they're lesser desirable cards. And when it comes to these kind of cards, it really is more about the grade. So if I look at this chart though, for his base optic, now down to 170. Why would I get a Justin Herbert at 170 when I know the print run is a lot higher in 2020 than 2018? Why don't I not just buy a Lamar for $30 more? So ultimately, what this whole experiment or study here has done for me is just reinforced my belief and my stance on buying Lamar Jackson's rookie cards. Still, for a second week in a row, he's still pretty much looks like the buy of the week right here at 170. I'd also look at Joe Burrow and look at what Joe Burrow's current optics are doing. The percentage change, we know his cards are still down from where they were at. So let's pull in the whole year here. 195 sales on his optic, PSA 10 population of 890, and still at 150. So, okay, so now I think you have a little option here where you could potentially, here was Wednesday night, 122.50. Another one, same Wednesday night, that went for 150. All right, so I'm seeing some, and let's go back a little bit and see what the lowest 110. Let's go back and see what the lowest transactions got down to on Burrow. 210, 200. Okay. So you can see they're still on a little bit of a dip from where they were at the beginning of the season here. That definitely presents an interesting little buying opportunity there for Burrow. Still at 150 in auction Wednesday night. That's not bad, man. That's not bad. Ultimately, though, you're paying a little bit more for Lamar, but I think you're getting a lot more safety. Kind of, you're getting a lot more safety and security and a lower supply. So ultimately, I think that's a better play here. What's going on? Perpetually faded, man. Richard said some players in Select only have Silver Prism in one level. Would that make them a real short print? Not necessarily. Like Darnell Mooney is a good example of this. He was printed in select, but only in one level. Same thing with if you go back, you could look at Austin Eckler. For whatever reason, he was only printed in select in the one level of concourse, and he has the silver. I think if you go back, right, when select was hobby only, that does make them a true short print card. But if you're looking at 2020 select and talking about Darnell Mooney and only being printed in the premier select and having a silver, that was still a retail card. And so we can still see quite a few of those out there. And the value just hasn't ever really taken off on those cards, and it doesn't look like a real short print card that's got, a print run of like 150, 200. I still think that even for a guy like Darnell Mooney from 2020, probably that card probably has a print run somewhere in the low thousands, I would guess, or somewhere like maybe 999 or something like that. It's obviously it's hard to pinpoint down. Let's see if they have any of these here graded. Not many graded for whatever reason. Yeah, not many graded. They did make the colored parallels for him as well out of that set. But from 2021, now this is a different story because of the short print silver parallels being hobby only. That could definitely affect things. So that could make them a true short print card. What would the way to be able to tell this would be to go over to trading card database and see how they classify it. So let's see how they classify the 2021 select cards, and let's look for a guy. Let's look for a guy like Josh Palmer is a perfect example. Let's see, because he's a third round draft pick. And let's go to Josh Palmer's 21 select on trading card database. Let's see how they classify his short print, I should say just prism. Let's see how they classify his prism here. Overview. Come on. This thing's moving a little slow. Here we go. All right. So you can see he's got a total of 1,800 different rookie cards. What we want to do is filter. Come in here to the filters. Come on. This thing's moving slow. Exit out of some of these windows. I got too many windows going on. All right. 2021 brands want to do a Panini select. Where's select? There we go. All right. And let's just apply. And see what we get. 172. Wow. For a third round guy, 172 different select cards. So what we'll do is we'll come in here, and what I'm looking for is the variation or the short print designation from trading card database to see how they've classified it. So I'm looking at a lot of serial numbered stuff. Copper, prism, die cuts, a cosmics, disco prisms, disco golds out of 10. All right, let me do it. And so what you could also do is Control F on your keyboard and see if you have silver. So not on this page, no silver on that page. So then I'll do page 2. We'll do silver. No silver on that page. Green prism. RPAs, jumbo rookie swatches, neon orange pulsars, Okay, pink, the select pink prism, serial number out of 10. Page 3. Silver, okay, 1 out of 7. Wait. Silver prism. So, how many different silver prisms does he have? Yeah, I guess he's got one from each tier. Would be it doesn't have a short print designation to it, so maybe they're not classifying it. Okay. Okay, here's the card on eBay. That's the Concourse silver. Hmm. So another way you could do this, and it's all an approximation, I guess, to give yourself an idea of that one. Yeah, that's wonky, man. That is wonky. So okay, Richard specified this. What I was wondering on 2021 Khalil Herbert. It's definitely going to make that card a lot more desirable. I'm trying to see if I could pinpoint down. They didn't classify. I've seen them do this, and it would take me too much time to find one, but I've seen them do this to where they classify in here. See how they have these classifications, whether it's a serial number, like under the filters, they have these different classifications on here where you can select serial number, autograph, memorabilia. Here's the notes. Yeah, seriograph, autograph, memorabilia. Let's see. Short, see how where it has SP and SSP and variation. So wildcard search. So this is what I was ultimately looking for. So let me see if I do 2021 all brands SP wildcard search apply. It only pulls up with one card classified with that, which is strange. Rookie ticket swatch autograph from contenders. Now I wonder if we tried somebody else. Let me try Khalil Herbert. Yeah, he would be a true late round breakout guy. Khalil. Oh no, I gotta filter down by football here. There we go. Khalil Herbert. All right, so Khalil Herbert only 894 total rookie cards. Maybe if we dial down even to 2021, so he does have a Donruss rate 893. So if we filter, let's see what we get for filter on him if we just select 2021 and SP down here in the wildcard search. Two cards, contenders. All right, so contenders and contenders. So yeah, so it's not a true SP. I would think that they would classify that card from select as a true SP. So if I go to football and type in Jalen Hurts, for example, go to Jalen Hurts, run the same exercise, and we know the true SP is a print run of 150. So 5,000 different cards right now. Let's do a 2020 with the wild card search here. A lot of different variants there. All right, just SP. Wildcard search, SP. Just one. Contenders Optic. Contenders Optic. a rookie ticket auto, where they're considering a true SP. So I wonder if it's the rookie ticket autos that have the true SP. What about Trevor Lawrence? See, a lot of cards that we call SP or short print, but it's not a true short print from the manufacturer. If to them, a true short print, maybe it's only in applicable to contenders, which is pretty interesting. And we call stuff short print anything that's just not a base card. you know, I mean, I'm guilty of that, and it may be my fault as the spokesperson for our football card community here, um, calling anything that's just not a total base card short print, especially ones that have these like color parallels. And I can tell just by looking at the supply on eBay that there's fewer of them. Like anytime I see a card, a base optic that's got hundreds and hundreds of available plus sold, I'm looking at that like, okay, that's a base card. And then I see an optic hollow that has just a lot fewer. Okay, that's a short print card. But technically speaking, if you go based off trading card databases classifications, and I do hold them in very high regard, the only technical short print card is the rookie ticket autos from what I'm seeing, even Trevor Lawrence here. So there you go. We both learned something new today. I'm gonna have to dig into that further. If you guys know more about that, uh, let me leave us a comment, man. Yeah, I appreciate that, Anani. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm just getting back in the groove, man. I've got some mail to go through here and open up. Um, Perpetually Faded said that's the way it used to be back before they had inserts of parallels. Oh man, Steve. Dude, I'm sorry to hear that, brother. Sorry to hear that, Steve. Yeah, prayers and thoughts out to everybody down in South Florida, East Florida that was affected. Man, man, really feel for you guys. We got lucky here, and mm, feel for you guys. So I'm gonna get out of here, and got a lot of things to get done today. But it's been fun hanging out with you guys this morning. My um My game of the week, of course, Chiefs at Buccaneers Sunday night. I'm very excited about that game. That's a big game. And of course, I think Jaguars at Eagles is a massive game of the week here. Big statement for either Trevor Lawrence or Jalen Hurts. Big statement game for one of those guys. One of those guys are going to come out of that game a big winner, and their cards are going to continue to go up. So that's another interesting game to look at, kind of hedging your bets on, because both guys are super young. Both guys have a lot of future hype spikes built into them. So if you're looking to make some quarterback plays there, look at Jalen Hurts, look at Trevor Lawrence, see what you guys can get into this weekend. Of course, Bills at Ravens, another massive game in terms of shootout probability that's got some serious shootout probability to it. I would also say the Seahawks have been playing faster, so them at the Lions should be a fun game. And I'm expecting the Chargers to bounce back against the Texans. Titans at the Colts sounds like a grinder to me. Jonathan Taylor probably gets going in this game. Bears at the Giants sounds pretty gross, but with how slow and how little the Bears are passing the ball, I expect it to be more of a run game, Khalil Herbert versus Saquon Barkley type of game. Jets at Steelers, another kind of not pretty low scoring type of game there. Um, Zach Wilson making his appearance, so that hey, the Cardinals at the Panthers. That game could be interesting. The Cardinals have really been pretty bad defensively, and the Panthers have really struggled as well. Baker Mayfield has kind of struggled, except for throwing it deep. And Christian McCaffrey finally got going last week. So that's an interesting game right there that has some shootout potential. Browns at Falcons. I kind of like that one as well. I think that one's got sneaky upside because the Falcons have been playing pretty fast, pretty aggressive. I think Jacoby Brissett's been playing pretty well. So, and I definitely think with their how good their run game is, they put up points, which forces the Falcons to kind of get into that game. Vikings at Saints. We'll see who we get at quarterback for New Orleans, but of course, looks like we may not have Landry, may not have Michael Thomas. Kamara may still be affected from his own rib injury. You also may not have Jameis Winston. So, I mean, if you're not buying into Chris Olave, then I don't know what you're doing. That's another like really good buy right now in terms of rookie that's just a 2 or 3 touchdown game waiting in the wings to happen. So Rams at 49ers, that's another really interesting game there. I kind of expect the 49ers. They've got really nowhere to go but up after last week's performance against the Broncos, man. Jimmy G's got nowhere to go but up. Let's put it that way. The Broncos are at the Raiders this week, so there's an AFC West battle that I'm definitely looking forward to, man. Try and see if these Broncos can get going. And you know they've won some games, but the Raiders are 0-3, so I imagine the Broncos at Raiders. Okay, this game may go under the radar. Maybe this game shoots out big time. Maybe it does, because I got to imagine the Raiders are pretty desperate at this point for a win. Not a good start at all for Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, and their new head coach, Josh McDaniels. They've got to get on the board, man. So maybe the Raiders really start forcing the ball down the field, pushing that pretty hard, and that turns into a shootout game if Russell Wilson responds on the other side. And of course, Cortland Sutton is his main man there from a usage standpoint. Commanders at Cowboys. Not too crazy about that game. It's another situation where I think Carson Wentz is going to have very little time in the backfield, and those Cowboys defensive front is going to be all over him. So it could end up being a low scoring affair. Another game kind of dominated from Tony Pollard. Gotta love me some Tony Pollard, man. Guy's got so much more juice in the tank than Zeke. Gotta love it. I think we pretty much hit on little give you guys my little take on all the games coming up this weekend. I got a mail day to record. I got a lot of mail to open here, and got a lot of things to get done around the house here today. So you guys enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend. Whoops, didn't mean to Got the bots coming in here late. Appreciate you, bots. I guess that means you guys are smashing the like button and we're getting boosted up in the algorithm there. So no, not a Cooper Rush guy, not a Jimmy G guy, not a Geno Smith guy. So give me. You'll see. I've got some quarterback rookie cards in the mail day today, and been talking about them. So you guys will see. So tune in there. Been a pleasure hanging out with you guys this morning. Have a great day. Peace.